Hey, what's up, YouTube? Political Brown Kid here. I want to talk about a subject that I talked with a female last night about, and I think that this needs to get some. I think this is a good subject, should I say, for posting. We were talking about because if anyone knows, I've gone through a domestic transition recently, and I do have kids, and they've been impacted by the domestic transition. And this female that was talking to, she's gone through this transition before, a couple of years before I did, and so, but she's still feeling the effects of it. So one of her conversations was about fathers, or that her ex has pretty much given up on his two daughters, but he hasn't given up on his son. So he still has a relationship with his son, but with the two daughters, he doesn't. But here's the dynamic to let you all know. The two daughters live with her, and she's moved hundreds of miles away. He still lives in the area, and the son lives with him, but now lives with his girlfriend, but his son lives locally with him in the same area that I'm in, as a matter of fact, too. So she was just wondering why that was. And I kind of told her that. Why? I gave my perspective. So I'm just going to give you my perspective, because being as though I just recently gone through a domestic transition, I kind of went the same route that he did, that her ex did. Not in the sense that I gave up on my kids, but I was thinking about it. And this is why, but I love, and I'll say this, I love my kids dearly. I've been dedicating my life really to my kids. Once you have kids, I lost sight of myself, and even, my relationship with my wife, and focused on the kids. And that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years. When you go through, and I'm only giving my perspective on why fathers kind of give up on their children in these type of situations during a breakup. Number one, it's kind of like true what Kevin Samuel said. The women are walking away because she walked away. It wasn't like I got caught doing anything wrong. It was just irreconcilable differences for the most part. She brought up a lot of deficiencies within my personality and everything, but it was like, but we were getting along up until the day she asked for the divorce. As a man, when number one, when you come to me, when you're the one being dumped, that's hard. And so even for a man or a woman, because I know my friend who walked away from his wife, she took it very bitterly because he walked away. He was fine because he walked away. But the one that's being left and being dumped, you feel that rejection. So it's like a rejection of yourself, of a rejection of you. So number one, that's what I was feeling. It was like, well, she's rejecting me. She doesn't even want to work it out. She doesn't even want anything that I'm proposing. She just wants out. And so you're trying to process that rejection. Number two, and I'm going to do a video on this so you guys look at it on my channel. Number two, women, at least from a man's perspective, and women, you may have your different perspective, but women have every advantage in society. They don't know. I think a lot of times women don't understand the advantages that they have. I'm going to do another video on that, but I only touch on one subject here of one of their advantages is that you're loved unconditionally by your children. When a father is loved, it's not on the level that a woman is loved, and it's kind of love with conditions. When a kid loves his mother, it's just because. But when a kid comes, or when a kid hangs out with his mother, a kid wants to be with his mother. They want to hang around their mother. They want to, they do things with their mama. That's my mama. Daddy is just, oh yeah, that's daddy, and dad's here. Kids come to their fathers. Like a lot of times I would see my son going to my wife, or now ex-wife, and talking to her about things that I would think that he would talk to me about. And I know some of you are going to say, well, maybe he feels that you can't talk to him. You're going to point at deficiencies in my character. I've always been an open person. But it's like they go to mom for those type of things. And then they come to dad when it's like, well, the car broke down and can you fix it? And then it's like when you try to teach them things and drop jewels on them and give them worldly advice, they get an attitude. They don't want to hear it. They want to jump on their phone. You talking too much. You doing too much. They just want you to fix the problem and solve the problem. And they walk away. They don't want to learn how to do this. They don't want to learn how to pump gas. And I've had that happen from my daughter. My son wanted to learn, but it's like when you're going to drive a car, the basic thing you're going to need to do is put gas in the car. You don't even want to learn how to do that. No, you just fill the tank up. So they want to dump all of this stuff. They come to dad when they need a problem solved, when they need money, when they need a resource. They go to mom just to be with mom, just because, and to hug on mom and love on mom. Y'all get that. And then also, too, a woman knows that that's her child. You have to think about that. That's old saying, it's always true. Mama's baby, papa's maybe. Or mama's baby, papa's maybe. You know that that's your child. That child came right out of you. You know it's yours. Dad has to wait till that child gets about 2 years old, 5 years old, 9 years old to start seeing some of him in there. Or have to take a DNA test. So you have some of these things going into play. These are some of them. I'm just giving you the dynamics of, and I know my kids are mine, but these are just things that occur. Your kids are going to gravitate towards mom. And when you start going through a domestic transition, as I did, you start looking at it as wins and losses. She dumped me, she won. She got this, she won. Everything's going her way. She's winning, 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 winning. And all you see yourself doing is losing, losing, losing. She still has a bunch of her friends and she's hanging out and doing fine. I don't have, the guys anymore. And guys we're kind of like lone wolves when we get older. We don't hang out in packs like that. Women still have their support groups and still have their friends. So when y'all break up, y'all just go back into hanging out and partying with your girls until you find another man. Men it's not like that for us, because your other partners, they may be, dealing with their relationships and engrossed with their family and their kids. So you're kind of like a lone wolf, and then also too, a woman, she can just throw a picture out there on the internet, or she can just walk down the street and she's going to get propositioned with numbers. Guys have to work hard for those numbers. So kind of tying this in with the kids, it's just kind of like you're processing all of this rejection. And then you got to deal with the fact that a part of that rejection is going to be your kids choosing to be with mom before they be with you. And that's a part of it. And so sometimes even before it gets to that point where the kids choose, you sometimes make the decision easier. So you say, well, bump it. I know the kids are going to want to be with mama. I'm just daddy. They don't love me like they love her. So you start trying to build up a wall already to kind of prepare yourself for that rejection. And that's kind of what I started doing. But then I kind of caught myself and said, no, I can't do that. But when I started seeing, the kids, really kind of wanting to spend extra, when it was my night or my week to have, my kid, they would say, can I spend an extra night at mom's? And then you just kind of process that rejection, when the holidays come around and they want to be with mom and not you. You have to, that's hard. It's very, very rough. And so that's why kind of fathers start kind of pulling away. And then not only to top that off too, you have to look at it. Dad is like, when people get married, you take your father, the wife takes the husband's last name for the most part. Now, I know you new age women, y'all doing different things, hyphenating or just keeping your own last name, even some of these men changing their last. I have no idea. But you want your kids to have your last name. You want them to be a part of your lineage. And this is going to be, and I'm going to kind of give you a spoiler alert because I'm going to talk about interracial relationships later and why interracial relationships are bad, and I'll give you one point right now. And it's because of the cultural difference. And that even works with black people. When you have a kid, and that kid, you want that kid to follow in your lineage and be a Johnson or Davis or whatever your last name is, or Williams, whatever your last name may be. But you see that kid gravitating towards the maternal side and hanging out and eating and doing things their way, their cultural way. And that can even be a cultural way, whether you're from New York and the other girls and your girl is from Cali and they're doing things like hanging out and doing things the Cali way as opposed to the New York way, New York cultural way. You're going to feel some kind of way about that. And or if you're just an African American and you're married to let's just say an African, and they're gravitating towards the African culture, not the African American culture, you're going to feel some kind of way about it. And that's why I'm kind of giving you now, I'll give you a spoiler alert when I talk about interracial relationships. When you start seeing your kid and you're a divorced person, and you're a divorced black person divorcing a white person, and that kid has to make a choice between the cultures. And you're going to want that kid to be immersed in the black culture, and the white person's going to want them to be immersed in the white culture. And you're going to start feeling some kind of way about that. And as a father, you're going to say, well, this kid isn't acting like a Williams. They're acting like a Jones, whatever her maiden name was. This kid isn't acting like a Davis. They're acting like a Johnson. And so therefore, you're going to kind of kick in with that animal instinct where you see animals kind of get predatory and say, well, if you're not going to be my offspring, I don't want anything to do with you. And that's how fathers kind of feel. And so when you start seeing your kid not act like that, that's when you start kind of distancing yourself. So what I was trying to say in her situation, he's close with his son because his son chose to be with him. And the daughters went with her. So he's like, okay. So he felt that rejection because again, in his situation, when I was talking to this female, I asked her who filed. She said, I filed. And I said, yeah. So he has to deal with rejection one, that you filed and left him. And now rejection two is that the daughters went with you and they didn't stay with daddy. And he knew that. Dads know that they're secondary. They know that they're loved second. They know what the order of priority is with the kid. And they know that they're at the bottom of that priority. So that's just a little quick video that I wanted to make, or I shouldn't say video, audio, because of course I don't put video up. Just do audio on YouTube. But if you like this video, definitely hit the like button, definitely comment, and definitely subscribe. So again, this is the Political Brown Kid. Just wanted to drop this jewel on you. Everybody stay safe. Be well.